All right. Fulcrum of Truth. Another episode.
Yeah,
You know,
going on.
not much, man. I got a couple things I wanted to talk about. It's been in the news a lot, and we're kind of late to the party on recording some of our conversation surrounding it, but I think it's still relevant and important. But the emergence of ChatGPT. I already see a shift kind of in the conversations that are going on, right? From this is so amazing, it's gonna eliminate all these jobs. Like, no, but it's very exciting to me.
Yeah. Well,
So,
you bring up a good point, actually. One thing that we haven't discussed about it is like the progression of it kind of culturally. You know what I mean? And,
right.
it's not as though we follow like social media that closely, but I feel like you're talking about this transition where there was this wow moment, for like a month or two, a couple, 3, 4 months where everybody was like, look at this new toy we got to play with. And it was fat, kind of like a fad, and everybody was looking at it. And then the discussion quickly transferred to, wait, what's coming next? And like this is actually just infancy. And if that's the case, then
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing for me, and kind of always has been. Um, we've talked a lot about it offline. We've used it,
yeah.
several times just to play around with it, right? And
Did you want to go over a couple of them examples?
yeah, sure. Why don't go
So I
ahead?
mean, we have the understanding that our past the dependability of past knowledge principle. You know what I mean? We've gone over it a little bit before, but mainly that leads to kind of a skepticism towards what's given as common understanding of science now.
Yeah,
And we asked ChatGPT to help us write a paper on kind of the unknown, what's in outer space is, and how what we look out there is not true. And I think, going back, I gave it a couple prompts, explaining, kind of questioning science to it, right? Now that I think about it, right? It was like, uh, you know, write me a paper on how it's difficult to see the light that's coming in from outer space or from extra, things outside our galaxy and how we look at them with telescopes. And it kind of filled in some really good points about how kind of to further my idea for the paper. It filled in the points to kind of supplement the evidence.
yeah. It puts out a very good product. And it's just a baby, right? This
Yeah.
is this is first iteration. This is iPhone 1.
Not first iteration.
Well,
Remember,
no, I
we went
know.
over this. The
Right.
just to give it a little baseline, right? The ChatGPT 3 if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 300 billion parameters
Mhm.
in terms of its ability to kind of come up with a extremely diverse and well informed. The earlier generations were substantially less parameters and less parameters, and the computing power needed to go up is going to be large. But it's I wouldn't say it's the first iteration. We're at that third point.
No, but this is the first real publicly available. To me, it's kind of like iPhone 1.
Okay.
And I don't promote Apple. I don't, but I mean, I think everybody can agree that the iPhone changed the landscape of how things are. And I think this is like iPhone 1, where we think it's amazing, but the potential in the future is just so much greater.
Yeah. One of the things I don't even think we discussed yet is I watched a video on kind of if I'm not mistaken, it's Bing, Google, are kind of in a race for who's going to use this software. The owner of Bing, or the CEO, or
Well,
whoever.
OpenAI is
Well,
already
well,
kind of ahead of
yes.
them.
Well, the thing is, like that OpenAI software is more of a system to be used as a tool, right? It's not the actual product, and that's what Bing and Google is coming out with. They made press conferences. They kind of rushed to put out press conferences, from what I understand, and Bing had overwhelmingly crushed Google in the conference and what they presented with. Uh, Bing was using almost a side by side interface now, where you have your normal search on one side Then you have basically this OpenAI assistant on the other side that's like zeroing in on exactly what you want. And the Bing section, the Bing format of it, their interface included a great amount of feedback tooling where people and users could give them feedback about ways they needed to improve it or things that it got hung up on, things that weren't working. Given that intelligent learning system,
like a beta.
yeah, but they they use it in a way that interfaced it or integrated it with their search engine in a way that it was way different than Google. Google came out and just basically said, "Here's your OpenAI prompt." They spent a couple minutes on it or something like that. I think the live demonstration failed for the woman that was given the speech. So bad for her. She like asked for a live demonstration for that, and it didn't come up for her, so she couldn't even like demonstrate how cool it would be to use OpenAI as a search. So there's already
too many users or whatever.
No, I don't know what the reason it
error
was, but she just said to ask for the live feed, and then all of a sudden they told her real quick it wasn't coming, and she moved on to like features that were already known, nothing to do with OpenAI. Everybody was disappointed. In the end, I think the conclusion was that Bing really like is getting ready to super outperform Google, and Google's kind of got left their pants down because they weren't ready for what Bing brought. Basically, Bing brought that innovation in the interface. What I saw.
I agree. I agree that Bing kind of, or Microsoft kind of beat Google on the opening round.
Yeah.
Round one goes to Bing.
Yeah, I think that's it.
I'll agree with that, but
you could even say it wasn't an opening round. This is like a press conference before the fight. You know what I mean?
Well, right.
Yeah.
But yeah, first shot goes to Microsoft. But I just have a little bit different perspective because I feel like OpenAI is way ahead of both of them. And
no, they're using OpenAI.
No, Google has their own for sure.
And
I think Microsoft does too.
Yeah, but the software that OpenAI has, right? It's on par. The generation of AI that they're using is basically open source. I understand.
Fair enough.
So that's where the capabilities of the Bing and it may even be, I could be mistaken about this. I gotta do some on this, so forgive me if I'm mistaken on this, but from what I understand, the owner of the OpenAI AI company, ChatGPT, guys developing this and then finally released this to the internet. It's kind of his product, his tool. Now that tool and system is, I think, a mechanism that Bing and Google are using to create their interface and kind of integrate with their search engine. You know what I'm saying? Whether or not it's OpenAI's exact.
So are they using the same? They're not using the same server.
I don't think it's the same server, but like I said, it's OpenAI. It's based on those 300 billion parameters, so it's kind of like if you have
the same exact.
I'm not sure. I don't know enough about it to speak.
See, that's
about
the thing. I think Google and Microsoft have their own.
But it's not
their own AI where the architecture of the machine learning may be.
Well, what I'm saying is this: the Bing AI TalkBot or whatever they have, right, AI system, as well as the Google AI system, as well as the OpenAI ChatGPT 3 system, are all on par with each other. So
sure, I think they're like cousins.
Well, I don't think that they're being developed independently. I think that the AI system that's being used is the child of OpenAI. So it's not as though there's no comparison.
I think we need to look into that and not really speak any further because.
There was no talk on this, right? There was no talk on the capabilities of the AI systems that Google and Bing were using. And Google and Bing, Microsoft, right? Google and Microsoft rushed to put out this press conference after ChatGPT 3 was released because I believe they used the ChatGPT 3 open source software to create their interface. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean. There was a triggering when OpenAI got released. That was like a new technology for the world to use, I'm pretty sure. And Google and Bing jumped on it, essentially. You know what I mean? Because
that's not the way I understood it, but I got to be honest. We're
delving off on
we're crossing over into things that I don't know what I'm talking about. So let's steer it back in a direction where I'm
bottom line
more
was
familiar.
Just what can be said is that for barring everything else we said, Ray, is that I didn't see any competition in terms of capabilities in their AI. It was just the interface and how it was integrated.
Yeah. So what's stopping OpenAI from developing a search engine of their own.
They're not. I don't think. I mean, the
They
only
could,
thing.
it just
I mean,
scale, like you can't compete with Google.
right now, for example, Apple can't compete with Google Maps at all. Okay, because of the data points.
Yeah.
I mean, Google has. I don't even know
They've invested so much
Yeah.
in their,
In
base
their map system.
infrastructure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's one. It's an example of how getting in ahead of the game, the infrastructure you build,
Yeah.
what you've your entire infrastructure in your company that makes your product good, probably a lot bigger than we understand, and it's more than just like a name of a website or that search engine. You know what I mean? And also, there may be nothing stopping him, right? I mean, a search engine is. I mean, I've watched videos on descriptions of how search engines are built and how they work, and it is kind of like a you know, I don't even know the word. It's a complex system, but it's also kind of like there's no like physical need to make it work, right? It's a program basically, right? It reaches out and touches a bunch of other hardware. You know what I mean? It's a bunch of addresses and a bunch of tags and a bunch of information, reference IDs and stuff. It's like, okay, where is this stuff that this person's searching for? I'm going to go look across everything that's out there, but it's not like they have to have those things, right? It's just a program. So
Right.
I don't know. Maybe they could.
And I think it
know?
really comes down to like the scoring model, how you score these different sites of relevance and
Yeah.
importance.
Yeah.
How many click-throughs. Getting off topic
Yeah.
with the whole search engine thing.
But Google's way ahead of in the search engine game.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And I don't think, credit to Microsoft. I feel like they did a good job in their release, better than Google, but I think they're still a long way from dethroning the king.
Yeah. If I had to guess, I would say that Google is so far ahead with their name and they're so large.
Right.
It's kind of like even if they're behind, they'll
They'll
catch up, and
yeah.
then people will stay on.
I think so too. But yeah, the capabilities are impressive as it is right now, and I know they're already working on another generation, or maybe two. Maybe they're already 2 generations ahead. I know they're ahead of what they've released so far.
I mean, we want to talk about being ahead. Just think about what the government militaries are already doing in 18 years ahead in technology. I just saw an AI program yesterday on a video that was amazing. It was AI that made the eyes look like they were looking dead at the other person in the webcam while they were looking away. Okay, simple technology in comparison to like deep faking an entire person. You know what I mean? But you could not tell that they weren't looking at them. The guy was literally looking at another screen playing a video game, and it looked like he was having a conversation with the other guy on the screen right in the eyes. And I mean, simple technology, fooled easily by it. You know what I mean?
See, and that's the, that's where I see. I mean, I see so much benefit out of ChatGPT, and I've heard. Well, yeah, I mean, possibly it has potential to become dangerous. I want to, specifically on language models, right? Before going deep into AI, and I had another topic I wanted to talk about, but I might save it. I just, maybe go a little deeper into this. My initial reaction, admittedly, I feel like was a little bit off in that, well, not so much. I think this is going to make college and high school a lot more difficult from the educator perspective. What we were able to get out of that program as complete amateur infants in messing with it was really impressive. And while I wouldn't have ChatGPT write me a college paper and turn it in like that, man, could it put 1,000 words down on paper to get me 90% of the way there, right? It turns a 10-hour assignment into an hour.
Not only that, but as you approach the doctorate, PhD, thesis level writing, becomes more in line with what ChatGPT puts out.
True. Yeah,
right?
more formulaic, very
Technical
structured,
writing.
technical.
Yep,
Yeah.
it wants to read like a textbook. So when you think about that early years in your bachelor's degree or something, yeah, you're writing papers, and it's like, man, this is like robotic. It's coming out robotic, and this isn't me, and all that type of stuff. You kind of worry about it. It's too perfect. You know what I mean? Once you get up to that level, you can literally just ask it to write a thesis paper for you, and then if they question it, it's almost an insult. It's like, are you saying I'm not capable of writing this high level work? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's an insult. It's like, what are you talking about? This is a PhD. This is the highest level writing humans are supposed to be able to do. I'm here. I'm supposed to write like this. Just because it sounds like GPT wrote it, you're complimenting me. You think that I'm supposed to get in trouble for this, but I'm taking it as a compliment. And you're wrong, and there's no way you can prove it different.
Yeah. I feel like there probably is a way, somehow.
Well, no, they said that there is a way for potentially at this point, right? But at the next generation, it's over. The next generation is like,
No, I feel like it could be tracked in like regulation could be put on these.
it can even match. Man, I'll try and pop up the theorem here. The distribution of words in an essay.
Here's what I'll say. If you think that OpenAI and Google and Microsoft are not saving every single output, you're foolish. That's not getting dumped. They are saving that for their own analytics. And so it's on record. They know your IP address. They know exactly, well, I mean, if you're not on a VPN, but even still, regardless, they know every single thing that machine has ever uttered. And they could actually make money on that, sell access to that database to educators.
Yeah.
Right? So that you can compare, hey, was this string of words ever written by ChatGPT exactly like this? And statistically, if you have, it probably would only take like a couple hundred words to be able to say statistically, like, yes, this was written by ChatGPT.
That's hard to say, right?
And they could probably make a lot of money.
Yeah,
like
but I don't know.
that
my
actually
argument
just came to my mind, man.
My argument is that it's more complicated than that. That it would be more. That it would be extremely difficult, nearly impossible, to create processes and policies that would snag that and nail it on the button. Because as soon as you begin, if it wasn't perfect, you couldn't use it in college. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot to strip a person of their college degree and kick them out of college and all that type of stuff. You have to have 100% proof of that. You know what I mean? You can't just do that to people. And
yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's like, where's that line where we say, okay, you did cheat? You know what I mean? Because when it searches,
that's where it gets
because you could change a little bit, man. You know, like I write the I get the ChatGPT to write the paper, and then I change 3 words in every paragraph, and then it catches that on ChatGPT, and it say, okay, here's a flag, and it could be a gray area.
All right.
How much do you have to change of it to make it not considered plagiarism? And that's it.
Okay. This is how much you have to change.
Okay.
We talked about deck of cards.
Okay.
52 cards, 52 unique cards.
52 factorial.
There are more combinations than you can, and if you don't know this or never thought about it, there are more combinations than you can like fathom.
Yeah.
Okay.
The way they state it is that when you shuffle a deck of cards, that the order that the cards come into, that order that after you shuffle them, there is most likely a chance that has never existed before in the history of humans.
Ever.
That order is unique and never.
And it will take millions of years before a single shuffle. Now, unless you're a magician and you know how to do like the perfect rifle shuffle, those kind of things.
Yeah.
Obviously, those kind of orders come up, but that's a trick, right? You're forcing that to happen.
Yeah.
A random shuffle of a deck of cards, even if you're a bad shuffler, that order of cards has not not possibly,
Most likely.
almost
Yeah.
almost positively
Yeah.
has never happened ever before. And even if everyone on Earth was shuffling a deck of cards over and over and over again, it would take an insane amount of time before you hit all the combinations.
So you want to use that in some way to
well, what I'm
check your
saying
AI.
is like, okay, so let's say ChatGPT writes a 500-word essay for you, and you tweak it. Okay, how many words are you going to tweak? You're going to tweak, let's say you tweak 10%, 50 words. That's still 450 words in a certain order. A deck of cards, a deck of cards has never shown the same shuffle. Okay, so you got 450 words, and 400 of them are exactly the same in the exact same order. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's proof.
It's pretty hard.
I think that's proof.
Pretty damning evidence. I think
yeah,
you're right.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. When you think of it in the deck of cards.
In that terms, yeah. I mean,
and maybe I'm applying it wrong, but to me, I feel like that's the same kind of thing. You have 52 unique
and there's more words than cards in a deck.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's not even
you're going up to 400.
You're going up to
several
50,
hundred words.
You're going up to all those words, but you're also.
That's why I'm saying I feel like it will only take 100 words to prove that somebody copied that from ChatGPT. It should only take like
52 words. I mean,
maybe less.
Because that's the biggest.
But if you have any brain, you're gonna modify it, right? And sorry.
Stop banging his
with the current version of ChatGPT, you can, it's kind of robotic. It's not natural. In some respects, in others, it's very natural. But it's a very like.
One of the things we didn't try, not to cut you off.
Yeah.
We didn't ask it to, write sloppily. Like, okay, now you've written this, write it with 10 errors in it. Write it with 10 grammatical errors.
Yeah.
And see what does that sound like? Yeah.
Write it like you're in high school. We didn't try that.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, the only way for them they'd have to search a database outputs.
But you see what I'm saying? I know if they don't have that database, I would be shocked.
They probably have.
I
but
know
that's
they're
just
storing it.
Huge, isn't it? I mean,
look, it's not huger than the whole internet. It's not bigger than the whole internet, and you can scrape the whole internet.
It might be bigger than the whole internet.
No, it can't possibly be.
I mean, I guess
it's a subset of the internet.
And they do limit it, the outputs. They limit the outputs, so you can't just be like, write 100 million words. Yeah.
And I'm sure it's saved somewhere.
It must be saved because it's limited, it's for research, right? I get nervous about it sometimes,
every school district, every high school district, and every university in the whole world had to pay $50 a month access fee.
Yeah.
Then the threat to the students would be enough to keep them off it, and OpenAI would just be a trillion-dollar company, right? I mean,
I think I might already getting ready to be doing it.
I know.
This is the power of this thing.
Guys, if you do it, you know where you heard it.
I think everybody's already thinking about this, how GPT can be used for an income. And I mean, took away a lot of writing capability.
Yeah, so the workforce, that was one of the things I wanted to talk about. I've heard some people say it's going to, put people out of work, and it probably will, but not in the, I don't think it's going to be in the way that maybe like is kind of implied.
I just had a little epiphany about a way it could affect it. And it's kind of interesting if you think about the way that if you had a robot serving you at like a Starbucks, right? When it had this OpenAI program in, or like a language, so he talk to you. It would be programmed with all of the perfect psychological responses and communication skills, like the perfect highest percentage chances to make people that type of stuff, right?
You could.
So, and then remove any inhibitions people have about being nervous anything like that. So it's always going to just come out completely
And be able to
confident.
sense that.
Yes, like during conversation, all right, these things were said and this and that, or I can see it on their face because I have these sensor abilities, you know what I'm saying, or their body temperature or heart rate, or I mean, that is kind of it sounds like it would be nice if there was a robot that was the perfect service attendant every time, always 24 hours a day.
I'll
Sucks
say
about losing the jobs for all the people in the service industry, but that would feel great to know that you were going to get treated just perfectly. Little cool idea. People carry around little things in their wallet. You know what I mean? It lets service bots know what type of person they are and how to treat them.
yeah, I was thinking more along the line of like, journalism,
Mm-hmm.
freelance people out there, um, working for whatever website, grinding, writing articles. Um, it's it's gonna change the landscape. It's going to create a lot of competition, and it's going to shift the skill set. Right? The skill of being able to navigate ChatGPT effectively is going to become more valuable than raw writing ability, I
I
think.
don't know. I think that's been tested already with Google and the internet. Because I have said that same sentiment over and over again, even before I was in high school. Maybe, or I mean, before I was in college. Definitely during college. But the idea was that the smartest man on earth is not the smartest man; it's the man that can search Google the best.
Right.
And that's exactly what you're saying. But that's not the truth. That's not what happened. You know what I mean? People wind up choosing what they want to do and use it for rather than using it for its capability. Like, it's like they don't even have a desire to get good at searching Google, even though there's even more advanced tips than I can use when I'm searching Google. You know what I mean? But to be able to find your answer, I mean, kind of intuitive for people. They don't, it's almost like rather than it being this novel, powerful thing, even though it was more organically absorbed into culture and people's daily usage. You know what I mean? Whereas if that's the case with the Google search engines and the internet, then I would think that ChatGPT might be the same way. You know what I mean? It's not so much a dramatic change, but more so, okay, this is here now and people are going to use it as they want it, you know?
So, what I've seen in business, and I've not worked in journalism, but just in general business, right? You got um, good, cheap, and fast,
Okay.
right?
A little bit of the project management
two.
triangle, yeah.
You can pick two,
Uh-huh.
right? You can't have all three.
Yeah.
But I feel like ChatGPT is almost a stepping stone to getting all three because you can get good and cheap. ChatGPT makes it fast.
Yes.
Right?
Uber fast.
Right? So
Yeah.
now you can get all three. So the person who's able to exploit ChatGPT to get that fast element, because there's always value in being able to do something on a short timeline.
Yeah.
If newspapers and websites that like publish news articles, you know, and maybe they do pay a premium to get something in a short, right? If the standard for like 500 words is 12 hours or 24 hours or whatever it is, now with ChatGPT, the standard can become 4 hours or 2 hours,
Yeah.
right? I need a story on this 500 words and I need it in 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Boom.
mean, but if it doesn't cost us you more resources, then you're manipulating the market. If you could just provide that service for that short period of time for every time when it doesn't cost you anything. I mean,
Well, this is what I'm saying.
but
Usually that service is very expensive.
yeah, well,
But
my question is this, right? Like, yes, ChatGPT can do it, and OpenAI and AI systems can do miraculous things, but can they do any one thing better than any other computer that was already doing one task, designed to do one task? You know what I mean? So, like, writing is something that uh, it's kind of like not destined to be used for that, but more so it's like if we built a robot that had a really fast motor that made it move real fast, it would be good at racing. You know what I mean? But it wouldn't be good at doing math because it didn't have a calculator for math. It just had fast motor on to make it go fast. So with the OpenAI system, is it remarkable to us because it's good at writing? You know what I mean? And writing is its skill, yes, but programmed to write, and that's the only new thing that it can do. What other things can it do that computer programs have not already been programmed to do?
Oh, I agree. I agree with you. It's very limited in scope.
Right? Yeah. We think of it as this miraculous thing, but like, what does it do other than write and this language model we see?
What's miraculous about it to me is that language is exceptionally complex. That is a very, very complex challenge on a level that has not been tackled in the past. I mean,
I've learned about
it's
this.
next level.
I took linguistics in college, and this was one of my, actually, the teacher of my linguistics class was a postgraduate student studying in linguistics, and he was working on language recognition by computers. And I would say that from what I've seen, this OpenAI language model and text-based language model has surpassed the technology of language recognition, audible language recognition.
Absolutely.
Right? And that means, it's so I know what you're saying about the complexity
now
of it.
they got to interface the audible.
Yeah, it's got to get there.
That's
But I
clearly
would
like
say
a
it's
very
behind.
next
It's
stepping
basically
stone.
behind.
It is, but the ability to integrate those two things gets you to the customer service robot.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I think that's a natural next step in the progression. And, while ChatGPT itself and language models are very limited in their scope, like I was saying, it's the next rung on the ladder. And now you've opened the door to, you've shown, okay, we've been able to do this level of complexity. Now we took a major jump forward.
Yeah,
and now it opens up all these other things that are on that same level of complexity. Speech integration, right? Then you can, add emotion, right? And you're moving toward like a cyborg. Yeah, right?
I mean,
so now I think we're still, I don't know how far away. I don't want to say a long way away from that, but we're a couple decades away.
All right,
still.
you want to I'll give you a quick Nostradamus, prophecy for the future.
Sure.
All right. Rather than AI becoming alive. Wow, this is scary because it happened. So rather than AI becoming alive and something giving birth to AI, okay? What if we slowly became cyborgs, implanting electronic AI systems into our bodies, okay? That's what's coming, right? Over time, medical technology would advance so far that we could begin to survive with way less parts of our body due to the integrated cyborg thing, the mechanisms from the machine, right? So all of a sudden, you could have people living where only 10% of their entire body was actually human, 90% of it was a machine. People could begin to identify as a machine. I'm human. I'm not living.
A new gender.
I'm
added to the pool.
I'm a new species. And all of a sudden, we don't create AI, right? Living AI. We evolve into it.
Yeah. It's an interesting, I'm sure probably people have, certainly the idea of cyborgs has been around for a long time. Yeah. And, what is it? Neuralink? What is it?
Neuralink, yeah, they talk about this. Yeah. But more this idea hinges on the understanding that over time, long time, over thousands of years.
These are all stepping stones toward that direction that you're describing, right?
And this is why I'm
saying this, that next we've reached a new rung on the ladder. And that's exciting to me. And that feels miraculous.
Yeah, I think that what it really I've been thinking about this whole time while we've been talking is basically heading towards the Jetsons. Right? They had a robot in the Jetsons that just floated around the house and did all the maid work and talked to it was like a human, but it was a robot.
Man, if the freaking Jetsons were right.
Listen, I have no doubt in my mind we are going to have a robot in the house that is fully communication fully, does chores around the house, has a bunch of features. You're going to be able to buy upgrades for it. Now your thing's going to be able to wash the dishes because you got this programming, you got this attachment, or now it's going to wash dishes better because we got better hose heads on the front of its nozzles and everything. People are going to have a robot in their house like it's a car outside. It'll be as expensive as a car.
We're gonna be sitting in our rocking chairs telling our kids, we used to have a Roomba.
Yeah. Yeah. I knew your great grandmother. It was a Roomba. No, but
yeah, man.
I think that's where it's headed. It's obvious that you know, I feel like there's going to be a unity of everything, all our technologies, right? Computers with the AI, with the wireless communication and controls in a house and that. Eventually, I think we're going to get a really solid integration step to this where we have that robot. You know what I mean?
That's the next.
Everything's
that's the next
there.
Rung.
Yeah, everything's there, but
we have
nobody's done
all
it
the
yet.
parts. Now, how do we put them together?
Yep.
But yeah, great discussion, man. I really enjoyed it.
AI is a topic that everybody. It's interesting. Everybody's ideas are good in it. You know what I mean? Because they're all new ideas. Anybody could say something tough that has any level of education. It could be the truth about what's about to come with AI. You know what I mean? Because it really is that like mystery Pandora's box.
Yeah. Those out there watching, do the like, subscribe, follow.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yep.
All that
channel.
stuff.
If you liked it, we'll bring you more.
Yeah, man.
Thanks.
Good talk.